What's happening, crypto fam? Happy Saturday. Good morning and welcome back to Love for Crypto. I'm Scott. It's a pleasure to have you here. I appreciate you taking the time out to consume the content, so thank you. Hope you're having a good weekend. Hope you woke up happy. So we've got a keynote, not from recent keynote, February, posted in March. It's been recalled upon recently in some reports. With the Bank of International Settlement reports as well, because they had a report from October and then another report in, I believe, January, just before this, and then a secondary report which was shared in the Telegram from April, which is extremely recent. But this was in between it, and just again, so they've had people talking about investment fund managers being too scared to go into crypto and not believing in it and blah, blah, blah. And then you show them internet of value documentation and information and facts that they're building an internet of value. And then he's like, oh, that's too far away. It's like, well, there's an investment fund manager in there. Investments are long-term, guys, not 1-2 years. This isn't an ISA, 1 year ISA. This is new technology that's going to take a hell of a long time to mature fully. Sort your necks out. This ain't no 1-2-3 year thing. We all thought it was in 2018, but we'd missed the boat by then. Missed the boat for quick gains. Someone's going to jump in 2021 and get massive gains by 2023, and they will have had 2 year gains, but they've got lucky. You get a little bit lucky. Simple as that. So, Deputy Managing Director, we got the IMF basically was talking about CBDCs. The Managing Director, Tao Zhang's keynote address, I'm pretty sure I went over it a little bit, but I'm going to keep recovering stuff until people stop acting like fucking idiots in comments and in the engagement. There's only so many times we can cover all the different things before we're back full circle and we're covering the same stuff again, but with slightly newer information. So it's a real pleasure for him to be here for this conference on China's trade and financial globalization. I want to thank the Institute of Global Affairs of the London School of Economics for the invitation. This afternoon we're going to take up a topic that everyone seems to be talking about these days, namely central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs for short. This is a widely accessible digital form of fiat money that can be legal tender. And a recent Bank of International Settlement survey of central banks shows 80% were exploring CBDCs. Apparently 10% of those 80% are almost ready to go. And we know how close China is. I mean, let's have it right. It's practically through the door. It's through the gate, innit? Wholesale, commercial already. Retail next month. It's out the gate, that. So I'll start by laying out what I see as some of the main pros and cons of CBDCs, as well as their international implications. I'll say a few words about the recent pilot experiences with these currencies, and also about some variants and alternatives to CBDCs. Finally, I will close by sharing what the IMF is doing in this area. So, links are going to be in the description if you want to read it yourself. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll go through the 5 points, and then I'll do a little bit of a skim, and we'll share opinions on it. Digital currencies issued by central banks can bring a number of benefits. Firstly, a more efficient payment system. In some countries, the cost of managing cash can be very high on account of geography, and access to the payment system may not be available to the unbanked, rural, or poorer population. CBDCs can decrease the costs and enhance efficiency. Secondly, enhanced financial inclusion. A CBDC may provide a public digital means of payment without requiring individuals to hold a bank account. Thirdly, more stability and lower barriers to entry. From new firms in the payment system, in some countries such as Sweden and China, we observe an increasing concentration of payment systems in the hands of new very large companies. In this context, some central banks view having their own digital currency as a means to enhance the resilience of the payment system and increase competition in the sector. Healthy competition. It's that thing with healthy competition, level playing field. I'm sure someone mentioned that start of last year. Fourth, enhanced monetary policy. Some academic scholars have suggested that by promoting financial inclusion, CBDC can also enhance the transmission of monetary policy. Moreover, to the extent that cash is used, interesting. So because cash use is made costly, CBDCs could be used to change negative interest rates. Charge negative interest rates and thus help alleviate the constraint on monetary policy transmission due to... I want to start that paragraph. See, because apologies. It's what happens sometimes when I'm reading, because I don't read out loud the same way I read in my head. I would have skimmed that in my head and still kind of got it, but because I jumped back in me... Yeah, I'm going to start again. Enhanced monetary policy. Some academic scholars have suggested that by promoting financial inclusion, CBDC can also enhance the transmission of monetary policy. Moreover, to the extent that cash use is made costly, CBDC could be used to charge negative interest rates and thus help alleviate the constraint. So cash use is made costly if you're sending it to another place. It's not costly to spend it, is it? I mean, you charge to withdraw it in some places, which is a bit of a piss take. But it's only costly to send it, i.e. cross borders, cross networks, cross currency. Interesting. The CBDs could be used to charge negative interest rates. No one wants to hear that. No one wants to be hearing that, mate. Right, is that a pro? Yeah. Negative interest rates are pro, yeah. And fifth, let's just move on. Go around in circles if not. Fifth, a means of countering new digital currencies. Domestically issued digital currency backed by a trusted government denominated in the domestic unit of account may help limit the adoption of privately issued currencies, e.g. stable coins, which may be difficult to regulate and could pose risk to financial stability and monetary policy transmission. Despite the potential benefits, risk from CBDC can emerge. Measures need to be taken to mitigate the risks by getting the design of the CBDC right. That paragraph made it sound like they're pooing it, mate. They're shitting it. But someone's going to get there before them. A domestically issued digital currency backed by a trusted government denominated in the domestic unit of account may help limit the adoption of privately issued currencies. Why do you want to limit the adoption of privately issued currencies, eh? Because they're not yours. I want them to play with my ball. I want them to play with my ball. Buy my hair and pump it up. Why are they not playing with my ball? Mum, you bought me the Mito, but they won't play with it. They only play with the night ball. Don't play with me. Like, use our currency. And don't get me wrong, the masses will, won't they? The masses will be like, oh, there's a digital pound out now. And they use that, blah, blah, blah. But the people in the know are not going to need to hold a digital pound. You're not going to need to hold it. You can spend it, but you can let ILP spend it for you, or let Zum spend it for you through trust lines. This is all going on in the background, and not many people are going to understand it, excuse me, but can you imagine you've got like some value on BitMEX or Bitfinex or something, and then like the new trust line or BitTrue, and you've only got XRP on Zum, and you throw XRP to make a payment, ILP and the trust line with the other place of value is going to send the currency they actually wanted instead. And people think this is going to happen in a couple of years. It'll take years to build it. Years to build it. So he carries on. Let me start with the risk of the banking sector. What is it? Disintermediation. The banking sector disintermediation. Disintermediate. I'm fucking Googling that shit. Disintermediation. What does that even mean? Intermediation. Mediation. What? Come on, man. There's a better word for that. Get your thesaurus out. I can't even remember. Disintermediation. Oh, it come up then. Disintermediation. Fucking is a word as well. So disintermediation is the reduction in the use of intermediaries between producers and consumers. For example, by investing directly in the securities markets rather than through a bank. Just say fucking middlemen. Jesus wept, man. Let me start with the risk of banking sector removal of middlemen. Let me start with the risk of no one needing banks anymore. That's what that meant. Let me start with a risk that no one needs us anymore, bruh. No one needs us anymore, bruh. Ain't nobody gonna need us now. Now they got a new system. Ain't nobody gonna be needing us, man. That's legitimately what they might as well put. Let me start by talking about the risk of people not needing banks anymore. People not needing middlemen. Look at what's happened to the post office. Individuals could move their money from deposits at commercial banks to CBDC holdings. Banks in turn might feel pressed to raise deposit rates or access more expensive and volatile wholesale funding, weighing on profitability and possibly leading to more expensive or low provision of credit to the real economy. Such disintermediation, removal of middlemen risks, could be mitigated with a CBDC that does not bear interest, at least at an environmental or positive deposit rates, and with limits on the CBDC holdings. Limits on holdings, eh? Another issue to consider is so-called run risk. In times of crisis, bank customers could flee from deposits to CBDC, which might be seen as safer and more liquid. However, credible deposit insurance should continue to dissuade runs. Moreover, if a run occurred and the central bank would be more easily able to respond to banks' liquidity needs of a CBDC. In addition, in many countries around the world, bank runs typically collide with runs from the currency, thus independent of the existence of local currency. CBDC depositors might seek refuge in a foreign currency. Or what about one of them private currencies that you was so scared of, mate? You might go to one of them, you know. XRP. Next are the implications for central bank balance sheets and credit allocation. In case demand for CBDC is high, the central bank balance sheet could grow considerably. In addition, the central bank may need to provide liquidity to banks that experience rapid and large funding outflow. It's a good job we've got on-demand liquidity being grown and an internet of value to facilitate all this, innit? Extremely strange how they don't really talk about it though. So I'm going past a little bit of anti-money laundering bullshit and all that now. If you want to go and read the full article, go and read it yourself. Anti-money laundering, CFT issues, failure to satisfy. Policymakers around the world actively consider the best way to address these issues. Advantages relative to a full-fledged CBDC include preserving comparative advantages, the private sector to innovate and interface with customers, and the public sector to regulate and provide settlement services and trust. Boom! So full-fledged CBDC include, so these are advantages relative to a full-fledged CBDC, include preserving comparative advantages with the private sector to innovate and interface with customers, and the public sector to regulate and provide settlement services and trust. Interesting. this would be a two-tiered system, not unlike current arrangements whereby banks provide payment services to customers but settle in central bank money. Oh, there's a lot of people talk about two-tier systems, innit? And Kurt used to talk about all the time. That is interesting. Interesting. Right, let's get to the brass tacks of it. So all that he said so far relates to the domestic implications of a CBDC, but there are more important international repercussions as well. And as you can imagine, we at the IMF are extremely interested in those. On one hand, a CBDC used as an international means of exchange could improve the efficiency of cross-border payments, which are currently costly, slow, and opaque. I'm sick to fucking death of paragraphs like this that don't mention XRP and ILP. I'm almost done with it, mate. What are they playing at? What are they playing? This paragraph's gonna end as if they're coming. Oh, maybe we can come up with a new XDR, SDR, fucking CBDC hybrid to facilitate cross-network and cross-border transactions. No, you've got your private sector ones you're so scared of, mate. That's why you had to get Ripple in your pocket. That's why I've had to pull all the Ripples into your advisory boards. That's why Ripple employees have just gone boom into every other sector imaginable. We ain't stupid. Right. On the one hand, the CBD using international means could be improve the efficiency of cross-border payments, which currently cost slow and opaque. But at the same time, CBDC available cross borders could increase the probability of currency subsidization, dollarization. Basically, the Triffin's dilemma, mate. What we keep going on about. In countries with high inflation and volatile exchange rates, therefore reduce the ability for central bank to conduct an independent monetary policy. Moreover, the CBDC used across borders could also have an impact on capital flow movements and effectiveness of capital flow movement measures. Excuse me. And international monetary system. I hope that all this discussion makes it clear that the decision to issue a CBDC is an incredibly complicated matter. And there are lots of factors to be taken into account before proceeding. Whether the pros outweigh the cons will depend very much on the individual currency circumstances. And there are plenty of international spillovers to consider as well. Countries differ substantially in the extent to which they are actively exploring digital currencies and in just how close they might be to issuing such currencies. Some currencies recently have launched pilots to develop experience with CBDC. Some countries have run or are preparing to run pilot projects to explore the feasibility and the implications of a CBDC. To do so, they have increased resources allocated to CBDCs and fintech research at the central bank, sometimes in partnership with private sector advisors. Several countries are also reviewing and revising legislation to support CBDC in the event it were to be issued, and they are actively studying the potential implications of competing CBDC designs. Some authorities are also engaging with the public and their legislators to discuss the possibility of issuing such CBDCs. Some other countries are investigating CBDC though they are exploring alternatives. Interesting. Regarding CBDC, these countries mostly focus on undertaking analysis and doing some limited hands-on testing of the technology. A final group of countries do not see an immediate need to issue CBDC. They are focused instead on improving existing payment arrangements and strengthening regulation. Some are exploring synthetic CBDC, and yet others are thinking about other ways to improve payment systems, such as fast payments, without issuing CBDCs at all. Very interesting. Recently, we've seen an increase in central bank interest in CBDC following the announcement of Facebook of its Libra initiative. The G7 set up a working group on stablecoins that produced a report published in October. It was said at the beginning, and then there was another in January, and there's been a recent one in April. At the IMF, we've been ramping up our research, analysis, and overall thinking on CBDCs, and indeed on fintech in general. Together with the World Bank, the IMF produced the Bali FinTech Agenda, which offers a framework to guide policymakers in thinking about how to regulate fintech in their jurisdictions. We also routinely publish fintech notes, staff discussion notes, and working papers on issues related to fintech and CBDCs. Specifically, in January, for instance, we came out with a note on institutional arrangements for fintech regulation and supervision, and another on regulation of crypto assets. And we also collaborate with other international organisations and standard setters such as Financial Stability Board, the FSB, a Committee on Payments and Market Infrastructure, the CPMI. The fund is also a member of the G7 Working Group on Digital Payments. This is, as I've tried to emphasise, an incredibly rich area for policy experimentation and discussion, and I look forward to hearing your views during the remaining sessions this afternoon. I would love to get the audio of that and see a bit of the back and forth at the end. I would love it. Main takeaways, guys. Central banks are trialling CBDCs. Up to 80% of central banks trialling CBDCs. 10% almost ready to roll out or are already rolling out a trial run. We said China, ridiculously close to it. So when people say, oh, do you really think this crypto thing's going to take off? Obviously. But it's like we're in the early 1900s with the Wright brothers and their very first plane, and everyone's just like, right, well, when Concorde, mate? When Concorde? Or the very first ever made train back in fucking 1750, whenever the hell it was. And everyone's like, yeah, great, but when I pollute, bro. When I pollute, this train's good and all that, but when I pollute, it's like people need to chill a bit and just realise that maturity of this technology and these assets is going to take several years. Doesn't mean you won't have enough to cash out at $2 in a couple of years, or you won't have enough to cash out at $5 in a couple of years. But it means if you're one of the people like me, who's waiting for more double, treble figures on the ZERPs, yeah, you're going to be waiting a little longer, guys. You just are. You got to wait for $100 XRP. You're going to be waiting till 2025. Let's not fucking beat around the bush. Now, that was me probable. Again, I've spoken about this loads of times. The difference between probably gonna be and possibly gonna be. You're cashing out $100 XRP, it's possible that could be next year. It's fucking possible. Could be the end of the year. It's possible it could be next fucking week. Now that is highly improbable, unprobable, however you want to say it. It's probably not going to happen next week, but it possibly could. So you've got 99% possibility of it happening next week, but a 1% probability. And basically each fucking month you go, your probability comes up 1% and your possibility goes down, because it's always possible. The only thing that really matters is how it's probably going to play out. If you're waiting for $100, you are probably going to be waiting till 2025. Doesn't mean it won't happen before it. Patience, long game, and then anything that happens before that's a bonus, innit? It's a little buzz. People need to wake up to how long the internet took. And I know this can be a little bit quicker. Don't get me wrong, it can and will move along faster. But ILP was 2015. IP was about 85, wasn't it? Was it about 85? I'm just gonna have to throw this up rapid because I need to know now. You just type in Everest timeline, Everest adoption timeline. That document got bumped to death, didn't it? it got bumped to absolute death. What's going on? What's going on in a world full of pain? Blue, blue, the plane, what's you blame? What's blowing on with the blue, blue, the plane? Open with the drive. Open with the drive. Yeah. Don't keep showing this for nothing, guys. This is ZB. Oh my days. I thought it was about 84, 88. I thought it was my age. I thought IP, Internet Protocol, was the same age as me. Screenshot and flip it if you can't read it. But around there, 1974, TCP/IP. TCP/IP, 1974. Interledger ILP, 2015. So IP, 2 years later, Apple. IP formed 1 year later, Microsoft born. 1 year later, Apple born. So in 74, 75, 76, you had IP addresses, Microsoft and Apple, mid-70s. Mid-70s. When did the world find out about Windows? 1995. 20 years later. 20 years later. ILP, 2015. So we go, right, they've already done this before. They did it with IP, they did it with the internet stack, and they kind of know what they're doing. So should we half that time? So it took 20 years for Microsoft to go from founding to Windows 95. Let's half that time, just for the sake of it. 2015 ILP, half the time of 20 years, 10 years, 10 years off from 2015. It's 2025. That's the year what people should be looking at. It just is. It's 2025. And yeah, stuff's going to happen before then, but don't get giddy and sell all your zerts before 2025, or you will be one of them people that's living with that epic level of regret we've spoke about in the past. Make peace with your exit points. And what I mean by that, I mean, if you're going to say, oh, I'm going to sell 10% of my stack at $10. If you sold 10% of your stack at $10, so say you've got 10,000 XRP. You sell 1,000 of them at $10, right? You've got £10,000 there. Yeah? If the next day it goes to 100 grand and you're sat there thinking, fuck, I've got 10 grand here that could be 100 grand. Fuck. And forgetting the fact that you've still got 900 grand in your pot. There's something wrong in your head. Like, you've got to be at peace with that 10K, regardless of what happens in a few weeks after it, knowing that you've still got 90% of your full stack, waiting to sell out at $20, $50, $100, $200. If it keeps flying up, you're still sat on your 90%. Make peace with that 10% that you're selling. Make peace with the next 10%, and make peace with every exit point at the price. And make sure, if it moves a considerable amount not long after you sold at that price, that you're still happy with what you've got left that's still gaining value and what you can then spend from what you've traded or exchanged. Make peace with your exit strategies, guys, because seriously, if you get to between 2025 and 2030, you're going to be seeing some suicides, I think. And I'm not joking there. I wish I was, but I'm not. I think like you're going to see some people who thought they was getting big, thought they was going to be doing bits, and they sold too early. They shit the bed. They didn't build a business. They didn't get any passive income, and they just blew it all on a 3-year holiday. Bitches and hoes, boats and hoes, boats and hoes. Yeah, dog. And then it's just going to be like, fuck it. Might as well just fucking turn off, mate. Don't live with them epic levels of regrets. 30-minute video today, can't believe that. Was that article? It took me fucking ages to read through. But CBDCs are coming. The internet of value is coming. So get patient, invest in yourself, invest in the internet of value, excuse me, and then spend the rest of your time getting happy. Leave the stress alone, guys. I used to be an extremely stressful and anxious person myself, but I'm getting to the point now where I just leave it alone. And yeah, I do need a little bit of cannabis and a cheeky little doob every now and then to bring me back to the level. If something makes me angry, or I hear a news article where some little kids have been brutally murdered or whatever, I find it hard to live in our world at times with the stress and anxiety and that, and cannabis helps now and then. So yeah, we all have our vices, we all have our medications. Just try not to poison yourself, especially with negative thoughts and emotions. And yeah, get happy, guys. Get happy. Be grateful. Again, we woke up today. Some people won't. So enjoy your weekend. Spend it with your loved ones. Wishing health and happiness to you and yours. You know the danger. And you know the score. We love crypto. We love XRPs. We love CBDCs, IOVs, and you, baby. Take it easy. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.